Hey guys, Gun Guy Mexicano here, and I'm just gonna make a quick video on how I've color filled these lowers. I'm sure there's plenty of videos. The ones I've seen so far are how to color fill stuff with like nail polish, and I think I saw one on how to color fill with crayon, believe it or not. And actually, they seem to work pretty well. I don't know, or at least I've seen some lowers and magazines, Glock magazines that have been done with nail polish paint, and they don't seem to last very long. So the form that I'm going to use, or the way I'm going to do this today, is with enamel paint with testers. I've only seen one other video, but what kind of annoyed me is that they didn't say what kind of paint they use. They just said it's testers paint. I used white and red. This is actually the paint that I'm going to use, because there's a few different whites in the enamel line, and this is the one that I use. It's the white, flat white, I'm sorry, and that's the number at the very top, 1168 RM11681 or 0611. So that's the type of white, and here's the type of red. There we go. This is what they call engine red, and that's 1102. And there's a middle number and then the final number. Now I don't know which one of those is going to be the number, but you guys can see it, because there's also a few different kinds of reds. There's red stop red, there's this red, I think I've seen like a ruby red. There's a few different ones, and this is the one that I liked, or the one that's worked, that pops more on lowers. As you can see, this is the one that I've already done. This is an arrow lower, and I think it came out great. It almost looks like it came like that way from arrow, at least in my opinion. I think it looks really good. The white pops a little more than the red, but I like it. The red subdued, and this is a really cool lower. I like it a lot. This is actually the lower I'm going to be using for a build that I'm working on as we speak, which I'll probably make a video on. So stuff you're going to need is a paint remover. Just make sure you get like a non-acetone type. If you have a finish that's maybe not that great and you're worried that it might mar the finish or something, just use something that's got no non-acetone, that's non-acetone. You're gonna need alcohol. The higher the grade, the better. This is 91% isopropyl. That'll work fine. You just want to use that to degrease the areas that you're going to be painting, so that the paint can actually adhere. We're going to be painting this Anderson lower, and we're just going to paint the fire and the safe. Safe obviously white, fire red. So we're going to use the alcohol to degrease those areas. We don't have to worry about the other side, because the lower priced, lower tier Anderson lowers, kind of skip those steps to save a little bit of money. So we're just going to do one side, because that's all we can do. And painter's tape, it comes in handy when you have lowers that are a little more complex. Like this one, I had to basically tape around the edges. If you can imagine, if you get paint inside of that whole cavity and then you start taking it out, you're gonna get paint that's not gonna want to come out of those edges. It's basically gonna be not impossible, but it's gonna be really annoying to get out. So I basically taped up the edges really close to the edge, as close as I possibly could, and it came out really well, and it helped me out a lot. There's no videos again on that, on how you would do this particular lower, so I kind of just figured it out on my own, and I think it came out pretty well. So just keep in mind, you might need some tape. Use painter's tape. And then I like to use these blue shop towels. Cut them up into little squares because they're nice and thick, and this is going to be used to apply the alcohol, to degrease. Also take off some of the extra paint that you're going to put on. And lastly, you're just going to need some kind of applicator tool. I just use toothpicks. Toothpicks work fine because the tip's real fine, and you're going to be able to get into the crevices or whatever you're trying to apply. So let me get everything organized here, and then I'll show you guys how to apply the paint. Alright, so we're going to just start by degreasing the lower. You're going to get a little bit of alcohol. I'm going to get one of these squares that I have pre-cut, and just moisten it a little bit, and then just degrease the areas that we're going to be working on. So obviously the safe area and the fire area. I know that some lowers come really heavily lubed, just ready for you to put it together, but in this particular case we want all that to be off, just so that we have better adhesion to the aluminum. And the better percent alcohol, the better, because it's going to be able to evaporate that much faster. So you can see I'm applying it, and it's evaporating pretty quick. So there it is, nice and clean. I'm just gonna dry it off like so. All right, and now we're just gonna apply some of the red paint. I already shook this paint. Just make sure you shake it before you start applying it. Just make sure that everything's mixed in there. And this is where we're gonna apply it here. All right, we're gonna do the fire obviously first in red. You want to dunk paint and basically start applying inside of the pictogram or whatever the lettering here is that you're trying to paint. Like I'm saying, the point here, or I guess the trick is to use as little paint as possible, so that when you start removing it with the paint remover, you get the paint that you want to stay, and all the other stuff off. It's kind of tedious to do this over again, because I'm gonna have to do this in my Spanish video, but there we go. Might have used a little too much there, but it's alright. It's where these little pre-cut shop towel sections come in handy. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the safe. While it's still wet, I'll usually get, if I use too much paint, I'll get a piece of shop towel pre-cut and just dab it off like so. We don't need all that paint. We just need that stuff that's in there, and then I usually let it set for maybe 3 to 5 minutes. You just want to make sure you give it a chance to actually get inside where it is that you want the paint to stay. That's why it's called color fill. You're filling the pictogram or the lettering with paint. So we're going to let it set, and then we're going to start trying to rub this extra paint off. Alright, so I already started the process of removing some of the paint. As you can see, it's working out pretty good. Just like I'm saying, what you want to do is light passes. You do not want to just like dig in and take out all the paint that you're trying to stay in. And usually what I do is, once I actually get paint inside of the areas that I'm using, I swap it over to a place that doesn't have that much paint on it. And then just lightly rub again. Try to do the outsides first. Like so. So there you go, it's getting there. Alright. So I'm going to pause the video and then come back when it's a little more dry, and then show you how you came out. Alrighty. Well, we're pretty much finished here. As you can see, you guys know here on my channel I do both English and Spanish videos. So I did the white here for the Spanish part. But as you can see, I'm pretty much done. I was just finishing up here on the fire, and you could probably tell there's like a haze around the fire, the word fire. So here's another tip I guess you could use. I use some cotton swabs. I get the cap for whatever non-acetone paint remover I'm using, and I just dip it in there, and that'll help me basically get in really tight to the word and just remove that haze. The point here is to not like overwhelm it. You don't want to get any more acetone anymore. There's not that much paint left, but you just want to make sure you can remove any of that haze that's left on the outside of the word, like I'm doing here. As you could tell, look, I'm not rubbing that hard and already someone's coming off. That's just on the outside. I'm not touching the letters anymore. So you want to do that a few times. Make sure you get pretty much all the way around. And it's really not necessary at this point. You know, it's pretty much done, but I don't know, I like perfection if I can get as close as I can to it. So this is pretty much how I do it. As you could tell, this was clean before and it's already coming off just on the outside, like I'm saying. So that's pretty much how it's going to turn out. I think it turned out pretty good. It takes a while for it to cure. I think the bottles say 6 to 12 hours or maybe even 24 hours, something like that. So the point is, it's going to end up looking like this. And in my opinion, I don't know if it's just me, but it feels like the red pops after it cures a little more. It seems subdued right now on that lower, but it seems to pop more after it's dried. And that's how it turns out. So I'd love to know y'all's opinion. You know, maybe if you guys do it differently, or other tips that you guys could use, you know, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And like always, I'll catch you guys on the next one.